Today, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to tell the life story, the full biography of a building. But not just any building. We're talking about an icon that has witnessed empires rise and fall, a stage for both incredible spectacle and, let's be honest, brutal reality. I mean, what if these ancient stones could talk? Well, today, we're going to try and listen.
And there it is, the Colosseum. You know it the second you see it, right? For almost 2,000 years, it's been the ultimate symbol of Roman power and mind-blowing engineering. But its story? Oh, its story is so much more than just a pretty picture on a postcard. Okay, so here's the first twist for you right out of the gate. The Romans who built it, the ones who packed the stands and cheered and gasped inside its walls, they never called it the Colosseum, not once. That name wouldn't even exist for centuries.
So if they didn't call it the Colosseum, what did they call it? Well, its official name was the Amphitheatrum Flavium, the Flavian Amphitheatre. Why? It was a little nod to the family dynasty, the Flavians, the emperors who got this thing built. A bit of a mouthful maybe, but that was its real name.
So where in the world did Colosseum come from? You'd think it has to do with its colossal size, right? Nope. It's actually all about what used to stand right next to it, a gigantic 100-foot-tall bronze statue of the infamous Emperor Nero, called the Colossus of Nero. People started referring to the arena as the building by the Colossus. Eventually, the statue disappeared, but the name stuck to the building.
Now you gotta understand, building this thing wasn't just about entertainment. Oh no. This was a stone-cold, brilliant political move. It was literally built on the ashes of a tyrant's legacy, all to win back the hearts and minds of the Roman people.
Okay, so check this out. On the left, you've got Emperor Nero. After a massive fire guts Rome, he grabs a huge chunk of public land and builds himself a ridiculously lavish palace with its own private lake. Total self-indulgence. But then on the right, the new emperor, Vespasian, comes along, and what does he do? He drains the lake, tears down the palace, and gives the land back to the people in the form of this gigantic public arena. I mean, talk about a PR masterstroke.
But a project this massive costs a fortune. So how did they pay for it? Well, the answer is pretty brutal. It was funded with the spoils of war. Specifically, the treasure and plunder looted from the temple in Jerusalem after the First Jewish-Roman War. And the workforce? It was a combination of brilliant Roman engineers and a massive labor force of prisoners of war.
And this was a real family affair for that Flavian dynasty. Vespasian kicked the whole thing off. When he died, his son Titus took over, finished the main structure, and threw a massive party to open it. Then, his other son, Domitian, came in and added the final, really ingenious touches that made the shows possible.
So now, let's step into the Colosseum's golden age, because this place wasn't just a stadium. It was the absolute beating heart of Roman public life. It was an engineering marvel that was also a perfect mirror of the society that built it.
Just let that number sink in for a second. Up to 80,000 people. That is more than most modern NFL stadiums. Can you just imagine the roar of that crowd? It was literally a city within a city, all crammed together for the show.
And where you sat said everything about you. There was no general admission here. Your ticket was basically your social security number. The senators and the super rich got the fancy marble seats right down by the action. The farther up you went, the lower you were on the social ladder, all the way to the wooden benches at the very top, the nosebleeds. That's where the poor, the slaves, and most women had to sit. It was the whole bread and circuses idea in action. Keep the people fed and entertained, and they won't complain. And hey, let's remind them of their place while we're at it.
So how do you get 80,000 people in and out without it turning into total chaos? The answer is pure genius. These things, the vomitoria. The name comes from a Latin word that means to spew forth, because that's exactly what it looked like. The building was just spewing people out. This system of 80 entrances was so incredibly efficient, the whole place could empty out in minutes. A design so perfect, we literally still copy it for stadiums today.
So the crowd's up in the stands. They saw all the action happening on the sand-covered floor. But the real magic, the engine that powered the whole spectacle, was hidden right under their feet. So what was really going on down there?
This is the hypogeum. This was Domitian's big upgrade. It's a 2-level underground maze of tunnels, cages, and elevators right below the arena. Think of it as the backstage for the greatest and deadliest show on Earth.
See, this underground world is what made the shows so jaw-dropping. Gladiators and terrified animals were kept in cells down below.
Then, using a system of elevators and trapdoors, they could be hoisted up and appear as if by magic right in the middle of the arena. They could even lift entire painted sets into place. It was an incredible piece of stagecraft, all powered by slaves and complex pulley systems.
And the scale of these events, it's just hard to wrap your head around. During the opening games alone, a 100-day party, it said that over 9,000 wild animals were killed. This wasn't just entertainment. This was a brutal display of the empire's power, showing that it could reach into the farthest corners of the world, grab any creature it wanted, and bring it to Rome to die for a cheering crowd.
But of course, no golden age lasts forever. After about 400 years as the center of the Roman universe, the Colosseum began its long, slow journey from being a wonder of the world to being a magnificent, crumbling ruin.
You know, the end didn't happen all at once. It was more like a death by 1,000 cuts. A huge fire damaged it badly. Then, as Christianity grew, the bloody games just fell out of fashion. The Roman Empire itself started to fall apart. But the final knockout blow came in 1349. A massive earthquake hit Rome, and the entire outer wall on the south side just collapsed.
After that, the Colosseum got some weird new jobs. It became a fortress for a powerful family. People built little houses and workshops in the arches. But the most tragic thing? It became a giant free-for-all hardware store. For centuries, Romans just came and took what they wanted, stripping away its precious stone and melting down its iron clamps to build the new palaces and churches of medieval Rome. They were literally cannibalizing their own history.
And you can really see that journey here. On the left, you've got this romantic, overgrown ruin. But on the right, you have the carefully preserved archaeological treasure we know today. So what happened? What was the turning point that took it from a pile of free rocks to a priceless monument?
Well, that brings us to the final chapter in our biography, the Colosseum's rebirth, how it went from being a relic of a brutal past to a powerful symbol for a much different future.
The building's savior came from a pretty unexpected place, the Vatican. In the mid-1700s, Pope Benedict XIV stepped in and declared the Colosseum a sacred site in memory of the Christian martyrs who were believed to have died there. Now, most historians today doubt that actually happened, but it doesn't matter. That belief is what saved the building. The quarrying stopped, and preservation finally began.
And this, right here, is probably the most incredible plot twist in the building's whole story. On the left, you have its original purpose, a theater of death, a place for public executions. But on the right, you have its meaning today. The Colosseum is now an international symbol for the fight against the death penalty. Whenever a country anywhere in the world abolishes capital punishment, the city of Rome lights up the Colosseum's arches in gold. Think about that. The ultimate symbol of state-sponsored death has become a global beacon for life.
So there you have it. A political power play, an entertainment venue, a fortress, a quarry, a holy site, a symbol of human rights. The Colosseum has had more lives than anyone who ever fought on its sands. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What on earth will this incredible building symbolize 1,000 years from now?